Hey, welcome back to Fox Weather Live. We got some breaking news updates on that powerful earthquake in the northwestern Caribbean, a magnitude 7.6 off the coast of Honduras. It was actually about 130 miles off to the south-southwest of Grand Cayman. A word of a 4.8 aftershock just off to the west of this. This is out in the Caribbean. Very deep water, some of the deepest in the entire Atlantic basin. In fact, it's close by to the Cayman Trench, which has a depth of more than 25,000 feet. The tsunami alerts have been canceled for everywhere except Cuba, Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. We still have a tsunami advisory in effect. That was from the United States Tsunami Warning Center, but they've adjusted that for a sea level fluctuation or a maximum rise less than a foot. So some good news there. Generation of tsunami waves have not been confirmed, but they are leaving that advisory up, just letting folks know. This evening, obviously, you want to stay out of the water because of the risk. There's no tsunami threat for any portion of the United States mainland. That is very much to do. You might be saying 7.6, that's a huge number, it's a powerful number. Where it occurred in this deep water of the northwestern Caribbean, but it was a strike-slip earthquake. So you've got the fracture of the crust moving horizontally to one another as opposed to vertical motion and displacement that can really trigger a lot of movement of water. So some good news with that. We're following this in the Fox Forecast Center. We'll keep you updated with all the new information as we get it.